Hey, it's a Tuesday edition of the Husker247 Daily. Michael Bruntz here, Brian Christopherson over there. It's UCLA week, and we heard from Matt Rule yesterday, kind of giving the lay of the land of things after the USC loss. We're going to talk offensive line today. Obviously, the quarterback conversation and TJ Lateef and what he can be this week is going to take up a lot of oxygen in the conversation about Nebraska's matchup with UCLA. But I think a really important one is the offensive tackle picture, and we can talk a little bit, I think, offensive line overall heading into these final three games of the regular season. Brian, for anybody that hadn't seen yet, where do things stand at the tackle position, and who's like number 3 through number 5 in that group right now?
They're down to between 1.5 to 3 guys at tackle. Is basically the situation.
Did you say 1.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I mean, I'm obviously kidding. They're all full men, but you've got Kanak. You've got ideally you have Pritchett at left and Corcoran at right. Now Pritchett, that was pretty bad injury, like he suffered on Saturday, and he did try to make a go of it Sunday. We were told.
He did some things.
Yeah, it was sort of left there, like, so we'll see kind of deal. Like he was hopeful that he's going to play. Nebraska fans should be hopeful too. But I'll go back to the post game. Rule said when he left Pritchett on the field, went out and saw him and he's down. He said he was in a lot of pain. To Elijah's credit, he was trying to work it out on the sideline like almost the entire second half to try to get back in there. So maybe there's a shot there. Corcoran, I think, has been playing. Just trying to suck it up and play, maybe even on a pitch count in practice, all season from his multiple injuries earlier in his career. So that's where that is. And then, Kanak, I don't know if he's dinged up at all or not, but he's your third guy. So there you go. So that somewhere between 1.5 and 3 is why I say that, because you just don't know who's all available. And then after that, it's Preston Tamua right on the left side, and Bricks on the right as a 4th and 5th option. Is that the correct summation of it?
Yes. And Tamua, who's athletic enough to play tackle, but is probably a guard long term. He played tackle in high school in Hawaii. Grant Bricks, who started at tackle, I believe, been working at guard, is back now as an option at tackle. Bricks has not, to my knowledge, made a trip this year, correct? Like this would be the first time that he's traveled to an away game this season.
Yeah, you know probably better than I do, but I think that's correct. Maybe there's been one, but it's possible there's been none. He has traveled before previously in his career, but obviously he's a young guy that people are intrigued to see. You hope going into this, Bruns, a couple things. Obviously that Pitt and Corcoran can give you close to, maximum of what they've got, like all the treatment and stuff that goes through the week, that they can get to a spot where when it's Saturday, they feel like they can do their job well enough. And then the second part, I think, is a mental thing. You've got to get this group, I think, to reset a little bit and kind of think about where that game Saturday night was, like 5 minutes into the third quarter or just around the Raiola injury. And it was a solid offensive performance that was going. Like, they ended up with 188 yards rushing. The first half played out exactly kind of how you wanted it. You got Emmett to, was it 165 or whatever it was. So there were some things that you can build on. And I think, and they only gave up the 1 sack. And of course it ended up being a season changing sack maybe, but I think you got to kind of get those guys to rally around that. Like, let's pick up where we left off right there. We can move the football running it. We got a all conference running back, and let just sort of Rule, I think, was trying to do it in his Monday press conference, Bruns, where it's like, go rally around this quarterback and do your job like to another level so that he's not feeling as much stress. And sometimes guys do really respond to that in football. So we'll see if they can.
Is there like almost as much concern about the offensive line picture over these last 3 games as there is about whatever TJ Lateef's going to do? Like, obviously,
yes,
I'm not discounting the importance of the quarterback spot. That's pretty well established over, the life of football. But I mean, the offensive line thing, like you're really into your depth right now. And the guys that you're relying on, like you said, Pritchett's been kind of battling an ankle thing all season. Corcoran came back about 5 or 6 weeks faster than maybe what they were expecting him to. And I agree, he's on a pitch count. You know, Knack's been a guard, he's been a tackle. Like that's like when you just kind of go through it, that's a lot to kind of digest there.
Yeah. On paper in August, and Donovan Raiola said it at his press conference. He was open about he felt this was the deepest group, but the tackle spot probably has gotten dinged up beyond what they could have guessed. Now, someone might counter and say, you guys could have anticipated this a little bit because some of the guys in the top 5 we were talking about have like serious injury histories, unfortunately. And you had to wonder like how much they're going to be able to give. And I'm obviously Teddy. We love Teddy, but you were wondering like what could Teddy do this year, and Turner as well. And so that number 5, we always used to say how many tackles they had. Some would say, kind of 3 to 4, like where you feel for sure. And so, I guess if there's a knock, and I'm hearing it, is some people are wondering, and I wondered it on the radio, like you do wish sort of like there was that young guy who was a second or third year guy who you just thought like was pretty ready now to be inserted into this mix with all the bodies they have over there, and to see what he could do, kind of like we're intrigued to see what TJ Lateef can do. I don't know if we'll see that or not. Maybe we will. Maybe a Tamua or Bricks is going to pop out there at some point, and we're going to see what they got. But it definitely is a changed picture, Brunts, and it is one of the biggest concerns on this roster, trying to get this thing to the end. And I think this week you just got to tell guys, everybody, like, just give me everything you got, because you got to buy after this, and we'll reset after that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably a bigger discussion to be had about development, and it's been for years now the kind of same cast of characters at that offensive tackle spot. In Nebraska, I mean, they got Pritchett out of the portal. They were pursuing other tackles as well. I mean, it wasn't they just got him and they were comfortable with things. So I think there was at least a little bit of concern that you could draw from that preseason based on the actions that they had. And part of that was just you had a lot of guys that, like you said, have been injured in the past and have kind of struggled to make it through a full season during their careers. Talking Teddy, Turner to a degree too. So yeah, it'll be fascinating to see if, especially if Pritchett can't go or he's limited in some way, how you kind of make that piece of it work, because I think that can also really upset the operation of what they're trying to do offensively.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, it's and honestly, a big guy in the equation is Tyler Knack now. I mean, he's clearly like going to have some role, whether he's the first guy off the bench or starting on Saturday. He had a good offseason to kind of put himself in position to be that guy. And I know there's been some uneven moments, but this is where you hope that guy just plays the best football of his life here these last few weeks of November. And something like that sometimes does happen, and it can lift everything when a guy finds the best of himself and all that. So he's going to be key.
A couple more minutes here before we're done. Nebraska basketball, let's shift there. Opened the season last night with an 86-53 win over West Georgia. Braden Frager leading the way off the bench for Nebraska. Some tense moments early on as Nebraska kind of tried to turn the ignition on the offense, but kind of got humming towards the end of the first half, and kind of ran away with it. What were your thoughts on that one?
Fred said he thought they were up tight, and like in the second media timeout, he's like, "Come on, guys, relax." And the first 5 minutes or so, West Georgia had 4 offensive rebounds, and that was sort of made you feel uneasy. Nebraska got that in check, and then the last 5 minutes of the first half, they really started playing with a little bit better pace. And Frager was a big reason. I mean, Frager, they were down 21-16 with 5 minutes left the first half. Frager hits a 3, gets 2 free throws, ties it up. And he was the guy who looked relaxed. Like, he looked very comfortable, the redshirt freshman from Lincoln, and would finish it kind of in style where he had a nice take plus an and one for a dunk. And then later, Jamarcus found him on an alley-oop, and he's left-handed, so it was his natural hand, but he went up and got it one-handed and crammed it. He's fun. Like, I know there's going to be better competition, but he can play, and he had 22 points. And Jamarcus, I think, is a wild card that, like, how is he going to come back from Rhode Island? How much has his game improved since we saw him last? Great start for him. 5 of 8 from 3-point range, kind of lifted the shooting behind the arc for Nebraska. They were only 10 of 32, but he hit 5 of them, and he just played in control and sort of was the guy who owned the floor. He was plus 34, best plus minus on the team. So good stuff from him. Rink, it wasn't Rink's best game, but he still got a double-double, 10 and 11. I thought it was sort of like these first games go Brunts, where there's some just sort of choppiness early and maybe a little nerves, and they worked it out. And you're not every day also is Price Sanford going to go 0 for 5 on wide open threes, which kind of, like, I think unsettled things early, because if he hits a couple of those shots, you're probably playing with a little bit more momentum and just more confidence on the offensive end than they had to start.
Yeah, I really coming off the redshirt year last year, you kind of wonder, with a guy like Frager, is he going to kind of take some time to settle in? I was really impressed with his aggressiveness. He was that way also, I think, against BYU, where, not playing like a young guy, which I think, especially when they were out and trying to run a little bit. I mean, he was looking to attack, and that's a pretty good look coming off the bench, especially, I think, to get a little energy there too.
Yeah, Hoiberg would sometimes say, like, hey, he's got some Jawan Gary in him, and that he can do, he'll get on the floor, he'll do some of that stuff that your team needs. And I think people were like, I don't know, we'll see. I think even in the last exhibition in this game, they understand why he's saying that about him. And he's got a nice stroke too. Like, it's he can legitimately shoot it. He spends more time in the gym than anybody, from what I've heard. And it's exciting to see where that's going to go. There's going to be uneven parts and freshman days where it's not great, but he plays hard on the defensive end, and I think gives this team a little edge on that side of the court, which is as important as anything.
All right, you got a couple bonus minutes there of the Husker 24/7 Daily. We're going to hear from Nebraska's coordinators today, a few players as well, so keep it locked on Husker 24/7 for all the latest.